Well, welcome into My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. My name is Landon, and welcome into this Monday edition of the show on August the 4th. We've made it, ladies and gentlemen. All of a sudden, we are 19 days away from college football kicking off. It's August the 23rd is the very first game of the season, and man, we've made it. Like finally, after these couple of months of no sports, after the NBA Finals was done, like what are you supposed to do? And so at this point, we finally have football kicking off here in a couple of weeks. And so, for Mississippi State, the media kind of coverage has kind of ramped up a little bit because they're allowing us to be able to cover more practices. Now it's not a full open practice, but it is kind of in some segments of 25 minutes, 20 minutes, that kind of thing. So able to kind of see a full rotation of the team thus far. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today and kind of what that's going to look like going forward as well. But I mean, we really are very close. And for today's episode, I think that the thing I wanted to get through is as people have kind of finished their predictions of where teams are going to be in the SEC, I want to think about, like, is it possible that Mississippi State can overcome the low expectations? Is there a possibility when looking at the schedule and looking at all those things? Because all of a sudden, if on the Mississippi State fan side of things, you get some positive momentum from practice, but I mean, like, they're practicing against air at this point. So, the defense is practicing against air, other than like seeing their quickness in drills and that kind of thing. It's not the same as full live coverage, but there's still some momentum and some optimism for Mississippi State football. And so, but like from the outside perspective, that's got to look like, I don't know, just very odd, So we're going to cover that and more here. Again, I mentioned the last episode, we're trying some different things with the camera. My fancy camera was completely drowning out my face, and so again, we'll work on that. We're still, we're in preseason mode too. Okay, we're still trying to figure some things out, but. We are so excited that you join us today. And I mentioned that starting in August, so we're in August, is going to be 3 episodes per week. And so what that'll look like, game day week is Monday is a show, Thursday is a show, and then usually Saturday night or Sunday morning is when we'll post the one we recorded from Saturday, is whenever we will do the post-game show. So that'll be 3 shows per week. But, man, just wanted to kind of ramp everything up now because, folks, it's almost here, and it's an exciting time of the year. Very, very pumped. But hey, we want to let you know that this episode and every episode is sponsored by our presenting sponsor, Heath Riles Barbecue. Heath Riles is home to award-winning rubs, glazes, sauces, marinades, you name it. It's created by 2025 Memphis and May grand champion and 81-time barbecue grand champion Heath Riles. And his products are really trusted by pit masters and grill masters, just like me. Well, grill masters is a mighty incorrect way to describe myself. Maybe me and maybe my wife, and like if she wants to be really nice, would call me that. But just kind of backyard cooks. The same way, both of those groups of people, pit masters and backyard cooks, use Heath Riles seasonings. And you can get his stuff at over 15,000 retailers nationwide. However, we'll save you some cash if you just go to heathrilesbarbecue.com, type in promo code DAWGS10, DAWGS 10 at checkout, get 10% off. I'm barbecuing for like a lot of like 20 people this weekend, and looking forward to doing some ribs. And Heath Riles competition rub will be the mainstay on the ribs. So give them a try and tell me what you think. Also, want to thank our welcome back our sponsors, Hovey. You looking for your new favorite Mississippi State hat? Look no further than Hovey. Hovey hats are high quality headwear that will have you and your friends asking about them. And look, if anybody else asking about them other than Jeff Lebby, because Jeff Lebby, even in the photo that was posted today, I thought it was kind of funny on from Mississippi State Athletics, he was wearing a Hovey hat. So anyway, man, take a look at their collection of Mississippi State hats at hoveydrygoods.com. It's HOVI drygoods.com. Hovey offers limited edition hats in small batches, bringing a fresh look to some of your favorite teams. So grab your new favorite hat at hoveydrygoods.com. Also, want to thank our caffeine sponsors. Want to thank ARPA. ARPA's in the Cotton District. Man, I'll tell you, I had some really, really good coffee there the other day. I was working for a little bit and just got to hang out. And Jose and his family would love to have you guys come visit there in the Cotton District. It's the best part of Starkville. And look, go to Starkville's best kept secret. And hey, we'll give you 15% off every single time you come in. by mentioning that you're a listener of the My Dogs Pod discount. And as I mentioned, Jose and his family would give you guys a discount whenever you do that. So certainly do appreciate Jose and his family. And then also, man, all the different things that are going on this year, all the different discussions about Mississippi State. And, the thing is, if Jeff Lebby does end up doing better than what he's slotted to do, so basically, if Jeff Lebby wins 4 games, 5 games, if Jeff Lebby wins 6 games, that guy's getting a contract extension. He's getting a pay raise. And you know what, man? He might even end up being rich. But what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number, more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones financial advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state. Count on him for financial strategies that can help you support a life you love, because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843, and together you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Also, one thing I'm very excited to have back on the show is my co-host, Austin. So Austin, if you don't know, spent the summertime, just being the best among all of us, man, just teaching little kids about Jesus and having fun and having a good time, man, and leading other college students. And so he's such a good guy. But anyway, he will be coming back on the show here soon. And so I'm very excited to have that, because the past, whatever it is, 3 months, 4 months, I have been talking to myself, which is fine. It's no different than regular life, I guess, just kind of talking to myself. In this sense, I've got a camera around, but and I'm going to be very glad to be able to bounce some ideas off of somebody else, for a change. And we've had several guests, and we've been on different shows over the summer, but it'd be really good to get Austin back on the show. So really looking forward to that, because then we can kind of talk through some of the things that we want to discuss when it comes to Mississippi State. A couple of takeaways from today. I was thinking about the people that have made a really big impact, and Coach Bumpus mentioned this in whenever we interviewed him last week, is Ricky Johnson. He said as the wide receiver has made the biggest jump from year 1 to year 2, and he's getting a lot of contention. A lot of attention from the coaching staff and from some other reporters that he's just making really good plays. If you saw the clip that MSU Media put out, which they've been doing a great job, but San Francisco McGee had a ridiculous catch. And it was not against air, actually. This one was against defenders in the end zone, but he's made a really big bump. And what's incredible is that you've got people like, Anthony Evans, and Brennan Thompson obviously is getting a ton of attention as well, as he should. But State has got a lot of different people to throw the ball to. A lot of different options. And Jordan Mosley's guy I asked Coach Bump about last week, because out of all the people there's been so many ins and outs of people coming in through the portal or through high school, but there's been one consistent guy in that wide receiver room over the past 4 or 5 years, and it's Jordan Mosley. If you remember, though, Jordan Mosley transferred in from somewhere else. Does anybody remember where? It's a Big Ten school. Northwestern, out of all places to transfer in from. But he's done a really great job and been a consistent guy. And he had a pretty unbelievable catch last season against Florida. I was going back and watching some clips of some other things. So anyway, it'll be good. State has a lot of different options there, and the offensive line, we've seen they're a lot bigger than they were last year. There's a lot more options. The tight end position, you would think Seydou Traore is going to be the guy again. Every time Seydou gets the ball, though, something really amazing is going to happen. He might jump over somebody. He might make a really great catch. He might make somebody miss, or he will fumble the ball, or get a penalty of some sort. So, but really, really a talented guy. Also, Paul Jones mentioned that Seth Davis was out at practice today. Now, in terms of like what it meant or what it means kind of going forward, I think I don't think it'd be very smart to speculate, but it's good to see that he's even just back out there. But if he's able to go, if he's 75%, along with that room that State already has with Davon Booth and Fluff Bothwell and Johnny Daniels, Colin Wilson? Am I correct on that? Colin Wilson, the freshman running back from Gulf Shores, who has been taking back some punt return duties, is also a guy that could make great strides kind of going for. So there's just, man, there's so many options for this State team. To me, it's that the defense being the biggest, kind of the biggest question mark is, can they get any sort of pass rush, this season? But think about real quick, think about the expectations that people have for Mississippi State. When it comes to the outside of Starkville, outside of Mississippi State fans range, it's the worst team in the SEC. And I don't say this to bring any sort of, well, I mean, it is what it is, because you can't really fault him. But Neil, he had his kind of ranking of 1 to 16, and had Mississippi State last. Many other prominent people had Mississippi State last. And coming from an objective perspective, why wouldn't Mississippi State be last? So the question is, does Mississippi State have enough talent to be able to not finish last, like to second to last? For media days, I picked State to finish second to last. So it's not like I have, I try to look at things through as much of a clear lens as I can. And State really, really struggled last season. It's one of the worst seasons of all time. The defense was really bad. They brought back the same defensive coordinator, now, but that's the negative side of things. The positive side of things is there are so many new faces that it's not like you're just reloading, lock and loading the same people. Isaac Smith's taking a lot of reps at linebacker, to kind of float around with the safety. Jerron Manning is there to kind of hold that safety spot down at this point, so Isaac can kind of be free to go do some other things. So, like, there's certainly improvement, but you can't fault anybody who says that Mississippi State looks like they're the last team in the SEC. Like, what are you supposed to do? They saw the schedule from last year. Why? Like, what? How would you look at that and be like, yeah, I think they can really turn this thing around from the outside perspective? Because you gotta understand, not everybody's looking at the practice reports every day. Not everybody knows Kamario Taylor. Not everybody pays attention to some of the, to Fluff Bothwell or some of the positive things around it. They've got their own kind of focus in mind, to look at, and not Mississippi, not the team that finished last in the SEC last season. So those things are completely understandable. But I gotta say, like, as the season gets closer, and Jeff Levy, I get a little bit more optimistic. But here's the reason why. Jeff Levy mentioned at SEC Media Days, and he mentioned last week, that he has, like, this team has if anybody who watched the games last season knew that it wasn't just as simple as this is the worst team in the SEC. Now, look, if you're not a Mississippi, if you didn't cover Mississippi State, if you didn't watch every snap, how would you know that? Like, unless your team was the one facing that week, you wouldn't know. Because any other 2-10 team, like, I can't think of a 2-10 team at the moment, but like any other in a year where Vanderbilt finishes 2-10, I don't spend enough time watching them to go, man, Vanderbilt had a lot of fight in that game. Maybe they did. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying is you can't expect other people who don't cover Mississippi State and that are covering their own teams, that are looking to their own teams to think, man, State, that they were bad, but they really did fight. I was talking to someone a couple of days ago who I guess they'd be an Alabama fan, and they were talking about Mississippi State and just how bad they were. And I was talking about, yeah, it's pitiful. It's the worst defense I've ever seen Mississippi State have. But I mentioned some of the stats. State's down 7 to Texas A&M in the fourth quarter with the ball. State played Texas really well. It's down 10 at half because Arch Manning throws up a bomb there to end the half. Played well, obviously got out of hand. Played Florida really close for a while, and then it kind of got away. Played Georgia close. I mean, they had so many 10-point losses to teams that were significantly better than them. And same thing in Ole Miss. So they led Ole Miss at one point. It's 14-10, and like he's like, man, really? Because people aren't focusing on those things. But Jeff Levy mentioned it. Like, if you watched the games, you saw this team was better than maybe what their record said. Now, the defensive side of things, I don't think. I mean, the defensive side, you might as well be an 0-12. They could not stop anybody. So if the defense can be somewhat, reasonable, then you have some good things going. And I remember, last season, I thought Brian Haydad had a phenomenal point. And because everybody's so quick to get on the defense, as they should. I mean, again, one of the worst ever. But there were games where Mississippi State's defense actually held, like Tennessee, who was one of the best scoring offenses last season. I mean, they held Tennessee to 20 points going into the fourth quarter. Mississippi State can't score 21 points. and they couldn't. So like several of those losses were also on Mississippi State. Arizona State, as bad as Mississippi State's defense was, and they had several spots where they held Arizona State towards the end, and State's offense just could not convert on some things. Now, ultimately, I think the defense lost that game. That Cam Scatabo is just still running wide open and running over somebody at this moment. But I'm trying to remember who it was last week that I think it was over the weekend. But there was a reporter that mentioned he believes Mississippi State is going to go 4-0 to start off the season. And I think it is Ben Crawford. Let me get a little bit more info on that. So, yeah, Ben Crawford from CBS Sports mentioned he thinks Mississippi State is going to go 4-0 out of the gate. And here's his kind of take on this. He says, that's right, Jeff Lebby and the Bulldogs are going to start 4-0, including a win over Big 12 frontrunner Arizona State this season before coming back down to ground level in the season opener, so losing to Tennessee. Quarterback Blake Shapen is healthy, and Lebby has restructured his roster through the portal after a disastrous 2024 debut. So I don't think that's too far off from happening, but you got to get the first win out of the way. You have to win in Hattiesburg, and we're going to have a lot of really good coverage for that game to start off the season when it comes to that game in Hattiesburg. But that's the big one. I think if you can win that game and have some confidence, you might be able to catch Arizona State early enough to be able to go 2-0. And the thing is, if you go 2-0, okay, well now you're able to kind of sink through, because I think Arizona State is. What game are they of the season? I'm trying to think. I want to say that are they the third? No, they're the second. Okay. Yeah. So if you can go 2-0, you can go 4-0. That's the biggest thing. Mississippi State on August 30th plays Southern Miss. Then the next week is at home against Arizona State. Then it's Alcorn State. Then it's Northern Illinois, with no disrespect to head coach Thomas Hammock, who was on the show a couple weeks ago for Northern Illinois. But you can go 4-0. And I got news for you. I'll actually take Ben's point, and I'll go one step further. If Mississippi State can go 4-0, Mississippi State can go 5-0. And I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying from a logical standpoint. If Mississippi State can beat Arizona State at home, they could beat Tennessee at home. Because I don't think Tennessee is going to be as good as they were last season with Nico gone and all that stuff. Like, they're still going to have a good offense because Coach Heupel is I love the way his offenses are set up. But on defensive side of things, they lost so many players too. But going one step up from that, if Mississippi State can go 4-0, Mississippi State can go 5-0. Just depends on if they can. And I'll even go back from that. If Mississippi State can go 2-0, they can go 4-0. They can go 4-0. They can go 5-0. Again, actually doing that is a much different scenario. But I'm just saying, from a logical standpoint, State should be able to beat a Tennessee. If they are presented, then you start talking on the road at A&M, at Florida, Texas at home. Like then you start getting into some weeds, so to speak, so to speak, before we get there. But have a lot of exciting guests before the season actually kicks off, man. Very, very excited. We'll announce some of those as they get a little more solid, but a lot of good stuff for Mississippi State football, Mississippi State sports, and so we will cover that. As we go on, we're going to take a short break. Here's some messages from MPW Digital. Whenever we come back, we are going to talk through Mississippi State and the game that I don't think we've covered just yet on the show is their game on the road at Florida. Just kind of a way too early preview on that one and some of our thoughts. So we'll be right back after these messages from MPW Digital. You're watching MyDawgsPod, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue.
All MPW Digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital. We're brought to you by Easy Hemp Company. Easy is a hemp-infused sparkling water. It's a guilt-free alcohol alternative, a natural way to relax and unwind. It's all natural. Made with real fruit, no added sugar, low calories, gluten-free. One 12-ounce can of Easy has 3 milligrams of THC. With Easy, it's easy to avoid the gummy scare and control your experience. So change the can, not the ritual. It's easy. Visit EasyHempCo.com to view the Easy Finder to find Easy near you. Easy is Farm Bill compliant with hemp derived from THC, CBD
On MPW Digital,
extracts.
presented by
Easy
Heath
is
Riles
for people
Barbecue.
21 and older.
And
enjoy
every week we have gone through a different team. So we kind of previewed each team Mississippi State is going to be facing throughout the season. And we obviously started with the Southern Miss. We had A&M. We've had guests in between there. But I did want to kind of briefly touch on Florida before we kind of get into a bigger preview next week with University of Texas. And, Florida last season, we talked about the actual game itself. And, Mississippi State was there for a little bit. Then all of a sudden kind of lost its way and could not stop Florida after a while. I mean, Florida scored 45, and DJ Lagway made some pretty ridiculous plays. But Lagway seemed to have injured his leg the week before last, but it doesn't seem to be as serious. And thankfully not. Like you don't want a guy like that that's injured. And I loved watching him last season. I thought, man, he really made it. It was kind of, I almost thought it was odd having Graham Mertz even be the projected starter to start the season when he had DJ Lagway, but I get it. And now it's all DJ Lagway's team. Like it's fully on him to be able to take it from Florida. And the last time it's going to be in Gainesville. Last time Mississippi State went to Florida, they actually won in a terrible game, 10-7 in the Swamp, with Dan Mullen being so excited. Was it Chaz Henry, the former punter, kicked it and missed the field goal, and Urban Meyer was like holding his heart right afterwards. He's like, man, I'm not feeling too well. I need to get out of here after this loss, and he did shortly after to go to Ohio State, only to do the same thing a couple years later. And he probably should have done the same thing in Jacksonville. But Mississippi State has that's a tough game, especially just now coming off of Texas A&M, then all of a sudden going into Florida. So that's not a game I expect them to. Honestly, I don't expect them to win either of those two, going on the road at A&M, going on the road at Florida. And one of the neat things about being able to be our show being credentialed, and again, I mentioned that just because we're so thankful. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for giving your support to MPW Digital to allow us to do that. But the cool thing is being able to kind of travel and go on the road for some of those. Now, for those of you who know, we just had a baby 2 months ago, so I'm not exactly traveling every weekend kind of thing. But I was talking with my wife, and I was like, if I had to choose between covering one of those two games and we'll make a little weekend out of it, I'm not sure which one I'd go with, because Gainesville is not exactly easy to get to, and College Station isn't either. So we're going through both of those things, and I was like, well, then I don't want to go to Arkansas. No disrespect, and like my family owns land in Missouri, but like I'm not trying to, not as exciting as Tempe. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Not as exciting as the big city in Tempe. However, there is a big city in Hattiesburg that's an away game. So excited to. I'm still undecided between A&M and Florida on which one of those I want to actually physically go to, but. We will cross that bridge whenever it's time to get there. Until then, I think this is DJ Lagway's ticket to go out. Billy Napier, I'm happy that he's able to kind of get out of that hot seat territory and hot seat conversation and just kind of do his thing from now on. Now, the tough part is Florida's got expectations that are really, really difficult. And that's the tough part about his particular, job and because also like, the thing, when he was at Louisiana Lafayette, he recruited okay, but he developed really well, and he had time to. He's at, it's the dang Raging Cajuns. But this is a different situation at Florida because you have to, like, the talent has to be higher. It's kind of like Dan Mullen when he got there. Seemed like he was doing what he did at Mississippi State. He recruiting lower level guys trying to develop them, and there's just different levels of expectations. And Billy did a really good job last year, especially with all the injuries that they had at the quarterback position, to really do well, kind of going forward. So excited for him. I have a tough time looking at that game on the surface now and thinking State can win it, as opposed to like a different SEC game is Tennessee. I've spoken about that one over and over again, but there's a different feel about where the team's kind of momentum is going. Tennessee's momentum feels like it's going down. Florida's momentum feels like it was going up after last season, and Texas A&M's momentum is wherever 8-4 is on this line, wherever 8-4 is on this particular chart on the axis. That's exactly where Texas A&M is. So excited about that one. But look, guys, as I mentioned, 19 days away from the start of the season. I'm very excited. Here's a question I had in the comments below. Who do you think will lead Mississippi State in sacks next season? And the bigger question is how many? I'm excited to figure it out. Is it Malik Silla? Is it Whitson? Is it Rasheem Sanders? Like who's the guy that's going to lead Mississippi State in sacks? And secondly, how many? Because last season, Mississippi State, if you don't know, had a team total of 6 sacks. I've gone on several shows this summer to talk about Mississippi State. People, ask, so tell us about State. And when I mention that stat, every time, people cannot believe it. Like I'll say it and then I will immediately look at wherever their camera is to be like, okay, where exactly, or what's their reaction to this? And every one of them are just like, wow, that is so sad. And I'm like, you're telling me. So anyway, we will holler at you guys in a few days, man. Very excited for the show. Again, we're headed to 3 shows per week. So we will come back here. I believe the next time we'll be able to get in here is on Thursday, but we'll tweet it out. If not, it'll be Wednesday afternoon. Crazy week this week, but a very exciting week. So thank you guys, as always, for listening to My Dogs Pod on MPW Digital, presented by Heath Riles Barbecue. Tell me about your thoughts on Mississippi State's expectations. Will they be able to go above what everybody else is saying? Will they not be the last team in the SEC? And if they're not the last team or the second to last team, where do you have Mississippi State 1 through 16? We'll holler at you guys next time.